Hi, everybody, and welcome to Subsly Dubsly, a comprehensive anime podcast. This is session 7, and it's your boy Jay, aka Gogeta Ghost Star, aka Versace Vegeta, and
Hey,
I am joined here with my brother D.
hey, it's your boy, Brother D. How y'all been?
Man, and listen, it's been such a fun week. We were able to go over the Broly trilogy last week with Meals. I definitely want to thank him for joining us.
Shout out to that brother, man.
Yes, such a great time, man. But before we dive into everything we got this week, my bro, let me know how your week's been.
Well, if anybody's been following me on Twitter.com, I've been sick, whatever. Picked up a little summer cold or
Yeah,
whatever
I
you want to
understand.
call it. But I am, as you can hear and you can't see, but as you can hear, I am doing pretty damn good now. As far as my week going, besides being sick, I did watch some Dragon Ball. Not only the
Okay.
movies that we watch are gonna be discussing as well, but decided to watch some good old Namek arc. It was really good. I enjoy that arc. It is definitely peak Dragon Ball to say the
Yeah,
least.
definitely a great art to tap
Oh,
into.
oh hell yeah! But other than Dragon Ball, been playing a couple of games here and there.
Okay.
Third Strike on Fightcade. Can't really get the. I mean, it's the arcade experience without the arcade, as far as it goes. So it's like
Yeah.
it's really tapping into my childhood as far as playing an old ass game. Just hours upon hours. In fact, I probably should have never played the game. I should have caught up on rest, but I'm not.
But I understand there's a way to recover. Sometimes we just want to dive into our
Oh
favorite
hell
things,
yeah!
bro.
When
And
I
I'm glad that was able to help you with recovering
yeah,
and getting better as well.
yeah, man, sometimes when you sick, you find that is a perfect excuse to have fun. So it was definitely have fun time, playing Third Strike and just being on Twitter and just lollygagging and conversing with you, lovely, beautiful people. So that's been
Hey,
my week. Well, how's your week? You know what I'm saying? You always have something interesting to let people know.
I will say I've been on vacation this past week, man. Yeah, man. I took a week off away from work, man. You know what I'm saying?
Sir.
Been really just enjoying my time, bro. You know what I mean? Spent the time down at the beach. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Got to watch some shark documentaries. You know what I'm saying? Got to catch up on some Marvel.
Ooh.
Spent some time watching some of the stuff that I hadn't seen yet. I hadn't seen like Shang-Chi. I hadn't seen Miss Marvel.
Oh, sheesh.
Hadn't seen
Damn.
none of that. So that's been really cool. I went ahead and finished Obi-Wan as well. I hadn't
Ooh.
seen like the last 3 episodes of that. So like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, been really just like it's been a really amazing week. I can say that to say the least, man. You know,
That's what we live for.
um,
That's what we live for.
yeah. And even outside of that, just watching these Dragon Ball movies, playing some games. You know what I mean? Like really, but you got to take time away from just the regular everyday. You know what I mean?
For sure, for
And
sure.
it's been a really beautiful week. I can say that to say the least.
Yes,
So that's
sir.
been dope. That's
Yes,
been dope. I can say aside from that, man,
sir.
it has been really, really fun getting to watch two of when I was a kid,
Oh yeah,
my favorite Dragon Ball movies. Like these, like
these were
when
good.
it comes to the Dragon Ball Z movies, bro. When I was younger, these were the ones to run back.
Oh hell yeah. Let's be honest. These two were the ones. It like let's be real, bro. People like to talk about the beginning of the DBZ movie trilogies and all that. No, these two at the end, were dominated forums and everything. You saw an image of all these movies, but these two, everybody was hyped on these two,
Yeah,
especially the movie 12. Especially.
yo, For sure. Like just the fact of it introducing the character that it brings, like that's the reason for everybody to really love movie 12, whether it be in the past or in the present, right? But yeah, very, very, very great movie, very famous movie. Both of these two,
Oh hell yeah!
and really looking forward to diving into both of them as we dive into Dragon Ball Z's movies 12, The Rebirth of Fusion, and movie 13, Dragon Fist Explosion. If Goku won't do it, who will? But let's get started on movie 12 in and of itself, man. Like I said, The Rebirth of Fusion, Goku and Vegeta, also known as in the States, Dragon Ball Z Fusion Reborn.
What? Come on! He picked us apart!
Yeah, separately.
Separately? Surely you're not suggesting...
It's the only way. We have to do fusion, Vegeta.
You know better. Fusion. I'll never join bodies with you, clown!
Would you rather us both be at the mercy of that monster? He'll tear us to shreds, Vegeta! He's taken the entire universe captive!
There's some things a warrior just can't do. I'd rather die.
You've been dead. Didn't you just say that anything was better than life here?
So, man, look, a lot to cover when
Yeah.
it goes into this movie in and of itself, dude. But before we go into it, what let's say you can go back to a pre Dragon Ball Super Broly D, right?
Mm-hmm.
What were your feelings on this take of like Goku and Vegeta fusing like away from how it happens in the manga and the anime?
I loved it. I loved it. Like this was all I ran this shit like ridiculously. Like I
Yeah.
had the VHS and I had a laser disc for this stupid thing. Not stupid.
Damn, the laser disc. That's fire.
The laser disc. So I ran this, abused this, even when I got access to the computer, because you know how that went back then. You can't use a computer at a certain hours because
Yeah.
dial up and
Yeah.
whenever I had access to the computer, like I made sure I downloaded the torrent and I would just abuse it. Not even, and the funny part is, it was a raw that I caught. I didn't even it wasn't even like a fan sub with the torrent that I downloaded. So I was just gently watching just 50 minutes of just what I thought was like the greatest movie
Yeah.
at the time. And I'm like, yo, this is life. Like, if anything, I thought this fusion was cooler than the Potara back then.
Same here.
I thought, like, I'm gonna be really honest. I thought the earrings. It was just, it lost me at that time. It lost me. It was like, okay, I guess it was for comedic value. You throwing the earring to Gohan and he misses and shit, and then the whole back and forth. You still get that same comedy with doing the pose, but I prefer this. Like I always prefer Gogeta over Vegeta. So just seeing Gogeta and then the way how he moved in that move, like it was really elegant. Like as opposed to Vegeta, like Gogeta is like there's this cool ass dude. Like he's just cool. Like I'm fanboying right now. I'm in my bag. I'm in my old school.
Because that's the exact same way I felt.
In my young D days, bro, I was fanboying hard. I popped. Literally. That fusion gets me every time. And especially the Stardust Breaker. Too.
Bro.
That shit is clean.
The most decisive finisher in all of Dragon Ball Z.
Clean. That shit is clean. Nobody can say otherwise. That shit was clean. But this movie, like, it's always gonna have a place in my heart. My viewing on it, may have been changed due to me getting older, but
yes,
we'll tap into that later on.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, honestly, on the same way, it was one of those that was one of the first Dragon Ball Z movies that I saw as a kid. Mm-hmm. When it comes to like watching the fan subs and whatnot. Goku and Vegeta fusing, that is the reason to want to watch alone, right?
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, Gogeta just gets the job fucking done.
Yeah,
he hits him with that little You know what I'm saying? Order a little charge, right? Gets him with a little 3-kick combo, raise that hand in the air, Stardust Breaker, blam, it's over.
Like,
I mean,
it's crazy. Like you
the
know, like how we
coolest.
talk about in the DVZ movies, how like these devils, they're just stalling. Like these guys are just stalling. Like, no, not this time.
Not this one.
These guys fuse. It's none of that. It's none of them long talking business. It's literally, yo, we getting this dude up out of here, fam.
It basically, it was from the way he introduces himself to the moment it's over. But just to get into the movie in and of itself, the Oni responsible for watching the soul cleansing machine is taken over by an evil spirit, and the afterlife succumbs to his will. All across Earth, dead villains come back to life. Goku and Vegeta attempt to defeat Janemba while their families deal with the chaos up on Earth. Their only chance to win? Fusion. Now, this was released back in March the 4th, 1995 at the Toei Anime Fair alongside the third slam dunk film, Shohoku's Greatest Challenge, Burning Hanamichi Sakuragi, and the Marmalade Boy film. So we're talking about like two really old school, old 90s animes, you know what I mean? Like Dragon Ball Z's sort of waning in popularity here, right? As this would be the last year that they would be featured, here in this sort of way. But at the same time, it's being featured right along some epic 90s anime series for their point in time as well. Now, when we're going to compare it to where it's at in the manga and the anime, of course, this is right between episodes 258 and 259. I'm going like I mean it. Open wide super trunks, also known as super moves of Gotenks here in the West, where this is the episode where Gotenks begins their fight against Super Buu in the Room of Spirit and Time. And it's also between episode 259. I've done it. Buu successfully eliminated with Ghosts, also known as Trapped in Forever here in the West, where Gotenks uses the Super Ghost Kamikaze attack, and it only sort of like beats Buu a little bit, and Piccolo destroys the door to seal them in because he thought there was no hope for them. In terms of where it's at in the manga, we're looking at chapters 314 and 315, the pure Majin Buu, where Majin Buu begins to revert to his original state, and the Supreme Kai explains his backstory with Bibidi and the Supreme Kais. And with 315, this is the match with the whole universe state, where pure Majin Buu fights against Goku and Vegeta on the planet of the Kais, right as soon as he's found them there. So really nearing the end of Dragon Ball Z in the manga and just beginning the real end here with the anime ending those gears there. In terms of for us in the States, this is a movie that we first got a theatrical release of in a limited theatrical double feature run with Return of Cooler back on March the 17th, 2006. I do remember this showing in theaters. I didn't see it for whatever reason.
Shit, I didn't even know it was in theaters. That's new to me. I did not know at that time.
Yeah. I know I was in high school at the time. It was my senior year personally. And I remember there was going to be a showing, but I was just like, I mean, I've seen that 1,000 times. Like seeing it in a theater just wasn't at that point in time. I guess, maybe also being in high school might have something to do with it. It just really didn't sell to me, and I probably maybe couldn't afford it or whatever, right? Yeah. But now, if you told me movie 12 was showing in the theater, you might get me in there. Personally. Just to be able to see it in the theater. I might do it. I know at this point in time, it's also really interesting because for the production of this movie, this is being taken place during the time where Goku and Vegeta are fusing in the manga. So that was around like January of 95, while the planet for this movie was ongoing. Toriyama originally wanted to introduce them using the fusion dance. However, he chose to use the Patara fusion instead due to that option already being taken for movie 12. And that's something we'll be able to get into a little bit later, as we mentioned some quotes from Akira Toriyama on this movie. But before we do get into those, man, any thoughts outside of just the main plot that we have? Because there is a really interesting B plot of all of the dead villains coming back. However, we really don't get to see it outside of when Gohan punches Frieza in the stomach.
I felt like it was a lost opportunity in this particular, like, I felt like this movie had more potential. And don't get me wrong, this movie is really dope. Like, let me get that out the way. It's really dope. But when you bring the concept of bringing back all the villains that have died, that were in hell, where are these villains and why are they not getting showcased in the manner that, they should be? You see Frieza because I'm assuming that it's a Toei favorite. That's a Toei favorite. Like, he's a Toei favorite or something to that degree. I don't know. I'd have to find, like, personal information or whatever, like content you or something to find that out. But what about the other villains? It's not like, it's not like all of them weren't there. Like, all these guys went to hell. Exactly. Like all of them went to hell, yo. So for me, not to see any of them being showcased, but to see Hitler and things like anime Hitler is like, bro. Like,
there's more focus on that than the Dragon Ball Z villains showing up.
Like, I always say on this pod that you need a balance between comedy and action for Dragon Ball to really thrive. But this was a little bit too like gimmicky and con wise. Like, you could have had something. Like, everything feels like it's just a joke. It's a jokey joke movie, or like, from like Hitler being there, like just Goku and Vegeta's interactions, which I didn't mind. They were funny to a degree.
That was the comic relief this movie needed.
Yeah, I feel like that was the only comedy relief that it really needed. But like, as far as like dude, you have all of these evil villains or any evil spirit that's been in hell coming on Earth to reign terror on Earth. Why don't you showcase that? You have all these characters. Like, you have Gohan there. You have the two kids. You got Trunks and Goten. Let them go ahead and scrap with all these guys.
Yeah.
When you're not giving us whatever is going on with with Goku and Vegeta and Janemba, why don't you just showcase them like actually having a struggle or something? Not even a struggle, but just being overwhelmed or something. Like,
even if it's them just wiping out all these other villains, right?
Yeah, like, just
they could have given us more scenes of that. I mean, if you slow down the scene where they're all flying up, you got like the Ginyu Force, you got Bojack and his whole gang, you've got Turles's gang all there. You got, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a whole lot of villains for them to deal with. Cooler Armored Squadron, Cooler. Why didn't we get a scene of Frieza and Cooler teaming up?
Bro, you know who was missing out of all of that, bro?
Broly.
Why wasn't he there? Like,
it's funny considering they mentioned that at the very end of the last movie.
Exactly. So what was like, I maybe we'll talk about that later on my theory, but like, it's just very weird to hear that being mentioned in the last movie, and then when we actually bring back the villains and that are in hell, we don't see Mr. Broly. Like, what was he doing? What was he cooking? Did he just say, "Nah, I'm not. I don't want to fight"? Like, was he on his pacifist mode? Like,
Goku not up there, so I'm good.
There's no Kakarot. Like, there's no Goku, but that didn't stop him there in the second movie. So I really want to know what was his exclusion in the movie. What was that about? But
I don't understand it either.
But it was a lost opportunity there. Like, in my opinion, like a lot of this is the thing with Toei animation, and when they do things, especially with these movies, they give you a good idea. Like, it's a good concept. Like, bringing back all these villains, that's an amazing concept. Like,
It is.
me personally, I would have put this movie, honestly, would have been the last movie. I would have made this the 13th movie.
There was
I would have
the
made
groundwork for it. Really, you could flip these two movies around,
exactly
13 and 12,
to bring
and
back all the villains as a that would have been dope. And from what we speak on later on, like I will mention, like it even makes more sense. But
yeah,
uh, it's just Toei has an idea. They give you a concept. It's a really amazing concept, and then they don't really expound upon it. They just make it as simple. I'm assuming because they realize, or maybe because of their audience that they're trying to present to, like they don't feel the need to make anything really groundbreaking or anything like too much. Because at the end of the day, these are just for the festival or whatever. So it's like, hey, the kids just want to see some cool shit. But in my just watching these back, it's like, it's just a lot of wasted potential. But that's just my little.
and I'm right there with you completely. It's one of those things where there's no reason at all for there to be all these past characters introduced. If we're only going to introduce that plot point for all of 5 seconds, and you could keep in mind the fact that the dragon is around the whole movie because they couldn't have, Gohan's wish of, hey, can we send everybody back to hell couldn't be fulfilled. So why was there not some sort of B plot where, all of the movie villains all the villains that are brought back see the dragon in the air and they're like, yo, well, let's go try to steal a wish right quick.
Bro, and it's not like they don't know about the Dragon Balls and the dragon. The villain that you showcased the first time.
Exactly.
His whole quest on a planet was to make a wish to be immortal. Here's the chance where he can finally say, yo, I'm dead right now. Let me make this a real thing where I can finally get myself back alive and at the same time be immortal. Why not that? I mean, he's weaker than the pro tags, but it's still something. It gives us something. Give us this, raise the stakes. That's what I always say. Anime, you need stakes in a story. Are the stakes low or high? You need high stakes. We need to be invested. Like from what they showcase, Janemba is not in the beginning when we first see him. He is not a serious. He's not a serious. He's not.
We're giving the Majin Buu formula, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, look at the funny looking big guy, and then it's like, oh, that you realize Goku could throw everything at him, and then it does nothing up until he goes Super Saiyan 3. He does one really strong hit, and then now suddenly you got Super Janemba on your hands, and he's a huge threat, probably one of the greatest threats.
Yeah. So it's just like, bro, why? It's just it's a lot of confusion, and it may when we give our final thoughts about it, it may have swayed how I view it, but it's just like, bro, all of this stuff, you have everything there. Like, why are we? It's rather confusing and baffling, but
it is. But I feel like a lot just. In terms of this movie, you can tell that a lot was just like they came up with it in planning, and then the end result was just, hey, what are the few best ideas that we could use? Because even when you look at the fact that, there's an entire interview with Akira Toriyama in Daizenshu 6, right? The Akira Toriyama super interview, where he basically lets us know all this kind of had to happen on the fly. Not just for this movie, but for the manga, in order for this all to happen at the same time. Mm-hmm. To explain a little bit further, there's a point in that interview where they ask him, the concept of fusion is also a form of leveling up. How did that concept come to be? And he answers by saying, if I remember correctly, I was talking about how, as a concept, there's nothing stronger than a Super Saiyan. And Katsura-kun, who was someone who was an editor of his, said, who I usually joke around with and say idiotic things with, said, there's no choice but for them to fuse then. So I said, whoa, sometimes even you say something good. It's the first time you've ever made yourself useful. He laughed. And that's how the plot point was born. So this was something randomly his editor said, and Toriyama was like, oh, damn, I hadn't even thought of that one yet, right?
Yeah.
They go on to ask him, what about the concept of the Potara? And he says that was simply since fusion was a plot point that was already taken by one of the movies, this movie to be specific. I was wondering about what I should do. I'd always been drawing earrings on the Kaioshin, so I thought perhaps I can use those. They asked, had you drawn them from the beginning, thinking that you used them as a fusion item? He goes, no, not at all. They were just for decoration. So Toriyama, king of making up shit as he goes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right? He basically says, like, okay, so I'm going to have Goku and Vegeta do the fusion dance in the manga. And Toei steps in and is like, no, you're not. Because we're using that in this movie, movie 12. And he's like, okay, well, I'm still going to make them fuse in the manga. How do I do that? You know those earrings I wear? That looks pretty cool. And that was it. Like, just that simple. I mean, that just kind of goes to show you where, like, the manga and anime sort of being at a breakneck speed, especially towards the end, led to, like, there just being creative ideas like this, where it was just, well, since Toei said they're going to do it, I have to do something else at the same time.
Well, it gives them, it puts them usually in bad situations, but
Usually.
we are glad that the concept of the movie is kind of cool to bail it out. But
yes, because that whole moment of Goku and Vegeta fusing, that's the point where everything just kicks into a whole different gear than what we've seen in any of these movies. I mean, even having seen this in the sub and in the dub, personally, it was a rush to see this again for the 30th and 31st times I've seen it or whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I still get a great feeling when I see this movie. So I can't take that away from it. But as far as plot goes, I mean, if we're being honest about this, like we've been with every other movie thus far, the plot is about as weak as you can get.
yeah, it's weak, and the villain is weak, even though he's like cool. He's,
A threat in terms of feats,
like,
right?
yeah, he's really like, and the thing with like, and it feels like it's not hypocritical because Janemba is not being posed as this, where he's not been hyped up. We just know he's really a terror. We see that. We just know that. So, but still, he is still lackluster in terms of what does he contribute to the plot. He's just a terror. And,
At the very least, we could say that unlike with, last week where we had to deal with Broly, Janemba does have the strength of writing of show, don't tell.
yeah.
We don't know that he's this great evil force or, something like that, right? It's just literally we see that young boy transforming into Janemba, and we see the threat that he causes upon the entire, afterlife from that point.
Yep.
We see how far he pushes Goku. We see how much he whoops on Vegeta the moment Vegeta shows up. God, what a crazy fucking thing that happens throughout all these movies.
What did Vegeta think he was doing? If Goku's struggling, and it's always funny when that happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, if Kakarot is stronger than you, what the hell did you think you gonna do when you're lesser strength than him? But
I never understood it either. But, it's almost like Vegeta has to get written into scenes that make him weak. But, another conversation for another time. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe really soon. Who knows? A few things I really like. If there are things to like outside of just like the major, Gogeta moments and things like that, I I really dug some of the B plot, like when Mr. Satan was walking through and like he's beating up on the zombies, and he goes, "Finally, someone I can beat." Like
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like that's pretty hilarious. You know, like we're playing on the fact that like, okay, like we got Dracula and little zombies and Romeo and Juliet coming back to life, like all kinds of little dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun for sure. But again, time that maybe could have been given for us to see really cool stuff with the movie villains that returned.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe better spent that way,
because they're really they're still threats. Like, yes, Janemba is the threat; he's the main threat. But these
still
villains,
a draw at this point.
they're threats. It's the Earth. The two strongest defenders on Earth, well, of Earth, are not on Earth because they're both dead. So you have Gohan, who again we've seen what he's done in the previous. Well, this movie obviously takes place around that, Majin Buu sort of timeline. I would assume so, but it has to. But we see that Gohan, he's not of what he used to be. As like,
he goes ultimate when he punches Frieza right in the stomach. So it has to be a timeline where I don't know. I guess maybe Ultimate Gohan beat Buu.
But we don't even. Is it even confirmed that he went ultimate, or did he just power up? Because with Toei, they have this thing where it's like, okay, we slotted Goku being dead, right? We already know that Goku being dead, when he goes to Otherworld, he's going back. He's going to find if Gohan is dead. That's the only time when he goes back. He's trying to find out if Gohan's dead.
Yeah.
And by the time he finds out Gohan's not dead, Gohan is learning. Well, he doesn't even learn the form. He's training with the Z Sword. Yeah. So even then, this has to be pre that, to be very honest. Maybe, and I hate talking about base form Super Saiyan, like maybe base form Gohan is stronger than Frieza. He should be, obviously.
Yes.
But it's like Gohan is still not the threat he used to be. That was the whole point of what we saw with, the
he was goofy as hell. Yeah. Though they do clearly depict him going ultimate in the next movie. I feel you.
Yeah. You know how know how Toei does it. Like we can say it till we blue in the face. Like we know how they do it. But still, it's like, bro, we need to showcase that the stakes are very high on Earth. It felt like watching this movie, nothing really was in danger. I felt that the two dead guys that are fighting this big guy
they were the
more danger because they're getting their ass whooped. Goten, Trunks, Gohan, they're not struggling. It's just overwhelming. It's just a bunch of villains. But even then, the villains that we see, what we know that are supposed to be returning, you don't even see these clowns. It's like, bro, why I don't see Cell? Why is Cell not fighting or whatever? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, if we can bring back Frieza, why not Cell? Yeah, you're right. Good point. Especially considering we're starting off this movie showing the Otherworld tournament. Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Again, which makes the timelines even more weird.
Yeah.
More weird. Because, again, this tournament in the Underworld, this is pre-Goku going back to Earth. So, it's going to be in a conversation for our thoughts after, but it's like, bro, I really hate when people do that. Like, you add this scene that was in the movie, that was in the anime, you add it in the movie, and then you conflict the timeline. This does not happen before that happens. It don't. Gohan is wearing a helmet running around the Hercule City or whatever, Satan City or whatever. He's cosplaying as a superhero. Why is he like, what is going on? It's just, now that I think about it, it's just a lot. It's the thing that's really saving this movie is that we have a big ass threat that's beating up the main guys. That's about it. Everything that's happening on Earth, weird. just weird.
It could be. It's played off as slapstick.
It's just whatever.
It could all be seen as humor.
It's too much comedy. And I love comedy in Dragon Ball, but it's too much. The comedy is overpiling the action. For the first time, I'm saying that. That sounds ridiculous. Like, I've never thought I would say, like, I need more action in a Dragon Ball series. Because that's usually what you get. But the comedy is, like, it's a bit too much.
And in this one, I mean, I guess we could blame it on the fact that we've got, for the 12th time in a row, scriptwriter Takao Koyama. And director Shigeyasu Yamauchi, who was the director of movies 8 and 10, legendary Super Saiyan Broly and Broly's Second Coming. So
you know exactly, just a pile of garbage. Let's be real, garbage. These guys, and I don't want to get onto them right away, but if you do insist on me talking about Koyama, why can't you make a balanced movie, brother, man? Like, is it that hard? When Super Saiyans came in, like, it became a crazy concept to you that, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know how to write a coherent plot.
Oh yeah, we gotta save the ammo for him. Oh yeah, we got plenty. It's
just so many questions. I need answers in regards to the thought process for this movie. Because, again, this is a movie where the concept is dope, but the movie is just lighthearted bullshit. And it's what it is. Like,
at the end of it, yeah, that really is all. When if we take away the Janemba and Goku and Vegeta fight, right? Take away all that. All we have is really Pycon cursing out a lot of orbs out in hell, and then Goten and Trunks fighting against the Third Reich. And like,
what purpose?
When we already know that there's every villain in the past like 7 years on Earth, but let's not focus on that. Let's focus on all the goofy stuff that's happening around it. Odd choices all around.
It's so dumb to me. Like, why? Like, just waste the opportunity. And somebody at Toei would probably tell you, well, our intent was, we wanted to make it lighthearted because, it's the season where the kids get to hang out and, we want them to enjoy it. They already seen so much. Like, look at where the arc was in the original anime when this movie took place. Like, they're probably like, hey, well, they're already getting the serious part. Let's give them jokes. And
yeah.
It's like, whatever. This movie don't even feel like a movie. It feels like an episode. It feels like a filler episode. It feels like
give it that.
It feels like 2 filler episodes joined together.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And honestly, for as fun as that moment is, really not having much to stand on outside of it does give me a different way to look at this movie now, even though I am excited in those moments that it does deliver.
Like, I enjoyed the Janemba aspect. I didn't really enjoy the other half. Like, if they found it a way to, just make the villains actually do something, as opposed to me seeing Goten and Trunks just doing barrages of attacks towards a bunch of fodder villains, maybe I would have, my perspective on the movie would have been the same as it was when I was younger, but that ain't the case. And I cannot rewrite this story at all.
But it is. It is what it is. At the end of the day, it did sell well in terms of what it is in comparison to this time where the movie came out. But this is considered, the beginning of the end of those films, as we do lead into movie 13, which came out just 4 months later, right? From there, we do have Dragon Fist Explosion. If Goku won't do it, who will? Also known as Wrath of Dragon in the United States. A fan favorite as well, and really glad to be able to cover this one too today.
Yeah, this one is really good.
On Konos, they revived an evil long thought destroyed by my ancestors. Hirudegarn, a malevolent assassin that consumes its victims and imprisons their life force. It wasn't until we stumbled upon an enchanted sword that we realized we even had a chance.
Oh my gosh, is that it?
A wizard found it in the Wraith's temple. Along with the blade, 2 ocarinas were discovered. My brother and I used them in hopes of distracting the beast. They must have been enchanted as well, for neither one of us knew how to play. The melody seemed to consume Hirudegarn with rage. But try as it might, the beast could do us no harm. At that moment, the wizard took up the sword and charged. The monster barely had time to react before the blade cleaved him in 2. What should have ended there turned out to be only the beginning. Hirudegarn survived. To prevent it from becoming whole again, the wizard confined its upper half inside me, and the lower inside my brother. A small price for victory.
Now, Dee, like we mentioned, this one did release about 4 months later on July the 15th, 1995 at the Toei Anime Fair, alongside the 4th and final slam dunk film, Howling Basketball Spirit. Howling Basketball Man Spirit, Hanamichi and Rukawa's Hot Summer, and Ninku, the movie, also known as the OG Naruto, for those who don't know, man.
Ooh, fire flames.
Now, it's really interesting because this movie itself was directed by the director of Ninku, Flame of Recca, Silent Mobius, Beyblade, Chobits, also the director of movie 4 and 5, and Bardock, the father of Goku. Now, maybe 4 is a miss, but 5 was kind of it. We got our man Mitsuo Hashimoto. So, this is somebody who knows how to do some fire when they need to when it comes to directing. And he definitely lit it up on this one here for the summer.
Yes, sir.
This came out between episodes 270 and 271 of the anime. That's a fissure between dimensions has Boo snapped, a rip in the universe, as known as in the Funimation dub, where Super Vegeta is basically dominating Super Boo to the point where he's like yelling a hole into the space-time rift, right? And then there's a episode 271 thereafter, the Ace Up Boo's sleeve, you become a hard candy, also known as Vegito downsized here in the West, where Boo turns Super Vegito into candy, while Super Vegito is very much still a threat to that nigga. But this is also after the end of the Dragon Ball Z manga has ended.
Yes, sir.
Because Dragon Ball Z chapter 325 was on May 23rd, 1995. So basically, if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z at this point in time when this movie's coming out, you're nearing the end. The show's nearing there. The manga has already ended. As far as you might know here, we're nearing the end of it all because there's been no talk of anything after Dragon Ball Z yet.
Yeah.
So really, really interesting time here when it comes to the release of Dragon Ball Z Movie 13 in Japan. As far as in the West, this is in September the 12th, 2006, in which we got The Wrath of the Dragon here on DVD. So 2006, by that point, most Dragon Ball Z fans that, like they know what they're dealing with, and they know it's like, oh, this is the movie where Goku does a Dragon Fist. So I got to count that for the collection. But outside of that, really.
That was like, I already knew what it was.
Yeah. But at the same time, man, I can say, from when I originally saw this movie on my fan sub tapes, another one of my favorites because it's all action, dude.
Yeah, it's dope. It's like, again, when Toei does have this, I don't know what Toei will have like things that disappoint me in one movie, and then the next movie, like they fix what they did. Like it's like, okay, even though the movie sold well, movie 12, it's like the things that I didn't like. Movie 13, it's like, yeah, they get it. Okay, it's less comedy now; it's more action. It's more serious.
Yes.
So I was like, oh shit, like Were they listening? Was there someone like me? I would just assume. Was there someone like me in the office that's like, yo, this was, we can make it better. But
and it's so funny because we're ending the entire series, 13 movies in a row of Dragon Ball Z movies. And we finally get to a movie that has a plot.
Yo, it is ridiculous, bro. It's the one with a backstory, with a proper backstory, with a plot starts from beginning to end. It makes sense. Yo, Toei learned, it graduated from all of its mistakes, and they just decided to go out with a final big bang.
Takao Koyama must have known this was going to be his last job, so he actually decided to try. I don't know.
Oh, man. I don't want to. Well, I do, but I'm not gonna harp on him for this one because he had his thinking cap on, like he was working. He was working.
Really did.
Maybe this was a movie that he got some ideas from Toriyama Sensei. Who knows? Who really knows?
Something, man. I would hope so, because when it comes to this one, it's entirely original idea. Outside of the fact that you have the wizard Hoi from space, right? He's definitely the standard for Babidi.
Yeah.
Right. The idea of Harudegarn being sealed away in something, even if it is in a warrior's body, right? That's definitely the Babidi Boo story, right? Just condensed into a movie, told in a whole different way. Honestly, a much more original sort of way than what we've gotten in this entire franchise thus far, right?
Mm-hmm.
The story of Tapion completely comes off like some JRPG shit.
It's some real JRPG shit, bro. It really is. Tapion himself looks like something that came out of Chrono Trigger, to be honest. But it's
definitely, that character in and of itself is an homage to the fact that Toriyama, had done that work on Chrono Trigger, Dragon Quest. They wanted a character that sort of looked like he came from one of those creations.
In fact, shoot, Chrono Trigger came out literally that year. That year, in that particular year. I don't remember the month. I would have to research that. But I know for a fact Chrono Trigger came out in 95. So it is very interesting to see that a character that really looks damn near inspired. You look at the cover of Chrono Trigger. When you take a listen at this, literally go on Google and search Chrono Trigger if you don't know the game or whatever, or maybe you haven't remembered how the cover looked like. Look at the cover.
If you've never seen Chrono before, and the first thing you think when you see him is, oh, that's red, Gohan from Cell Saga, or Gohan from Cell Saga with red hair. If that's what you think when the first time you see that, you're right. You know what I'm saying? It definitely is supposed to look like that.
Sure, Chrono Trigger. Now I remember March 11th of 95. So, of course, this is months before this movie.
The week after movie 12.
Crazy. It's crazy. Which brings
a week after movie 12.
Now knowing that, it's a theory I will bring up after this because it's very interesting. It's very interesting. This was very cool. But
yeah,
Tapion, great. His backstory,
awesome,
pretty cool. Pretty damn cool.
Awesome.
The sword. This was dope. It really does feel like a JRPG plot. I think that's what makes it this what makes this movie so special, because it really does feel like a JRPG plot line from the jump. It's so dope.
And hero sealed away in a magical box.
Yeah.
God, monster sealed away in him. Yeah, man, it completely sounds like some JRPG shit, and I completely enjoyed it.
And the interactions are just they're just so nice, man. Trunks and Tapion together, man.
Yeah. It really fun relationship they have there. Man. It almost comes off more natural than his relationship with Gohan in the Trunks special.
Exactly, yo. Exactly. It was so good, man. This movie, they for a final Big Bang, it was that one. It was that one.
I will say though, makes no sense in terms of them trying to shoehorn in like, oh, Future Trunks got his sword from the
That was
Tapion. Like,
the
no,
dumbest.
bro, showing him during the fucking end credits,
Bro,
slicing Mecha freezes, like them trying to hint that Tapion gave that sword to the future. Like, come on,
bro,
bro.
when I saw him give the sword, I was like, "This is sweet." And then I saw the credits, and I said, "What?" I've never said something so. I've never been so confused in a matter of like 3 seconds. I said, "Oh, this is cool. Time machine. Oh, I won't have a big brother." Well, you could just use the time machine. That will be used in Super in about 2 decades or a decade or two or so. You'll see that
No.
same machine. But I'm like, okay. He gives him this sword. I won't be using this. Sweet. Ending credits. I see Future Trunks, he hasn't been even a thought of mine throughout this whole time.
For a couple years at this
Like,
point.
we don't even we know he chilling right now.
Yeah.
So it's like to see. I was like, what?
Why are we even bringing up anything about that character?
That's a Koyama thing. If anything, that has to be, that definitely. He thought it was funny. And he thought it was not even funny. He probably thought it was like it made sense, and it didn't make sense, brother man. It didn't. I'm here to tell you, it did not make sense. And I always say time travel is very hard to write in general because it's a lot. It's really hard to explain.
Or at least it all happens off screen in this one.
Yeah, at least thankfully. But it's like when you're trying to allude, because that's what the credits. If you aren't trying to allude to that, then okay. But my knowledge is that this is supposed to relate to how Trunks of the future has that sword, and I'm like, no, that don't work, bro. It don't. And I even sat here trying to make sense out of it like an idiot. When I was younger, till now, I still try. You can't do it.
It's hard.
You cannot. It ain't even. It's impossible.
Because how could Future Trunks have handled that?
Nothing. This event did not take place because all of these characters are dead when Trunks is a baby. It's not even like what? There is nobody making a wish because there's no balls to make wishes in the future timeline.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
How could anyone have ever opened the magic box?
Kami is dead. There is nobody to open this box. Unless, no, I'm not cutting you no bail. We're not doing this whole, well, I'm with the timeline. I'm not doing that on this episode, and I won't ever do it. No, it did not work. Very dumb. But it's just, because it's the ending credits, it shouldn't affect it shouldn't affect the plot, what we saw. I'll leave it alone. But if that was what they were trying to allude to, it was dumb. It was really dumb.
They did everything but say it. And it really is like the more you think about it, the less sense it makes. So I will say, if you're ever one of those people that watch this movie saying, oh, that's where Future Trunks gets the swords from, don't believe that shit. Toei lied to you. The dub lied. The sub lied. Everybody lied.
The dub definitely lied. They made a lot of, two big mistakes. In the English dub, when I watched it, Shenrod, when he gets summoned, he's only granting one wish.
One wish.
Hello? This is after the Majin Buu saga. Nope. And for whatever purpose, at the end of this, in the Japanese version of the movie, when the dragon team says goodbye to Tapion, they said, all right, we're going to use the dragon balls and wish everyone back to life.
Funimation, they don't even say nothing.
The first time they say nothing when they're supposed to say something.
Yeah.
So the ending movie is this: everybody wants to graduate and do something that they've never done before. They have. This is really funny. It's really funny.
It is.
It's kind of crazy, but it's not that much of a sin. The Shenron one is a big sin. I don't care what anybody says. That is dumb.
Yeah, no need to go out of their way to say that.
One wish, bro. You don't even know. Like, come on. You dubbed this movie how many years after this, and you don't know any? Like, come on, dude. Come on. Let's be real. But other than that, really damn good movie.
Honestly, this one is up at the top. Like, it's my top 3. It's in my top 3.
It's crazy how when we talked about all these 13 movies, I found myself rearranging like my favorites, which is crazy. Like, and it's always good to like check back media that you held in high regard, because again, different opinions, different viewpoints. It's like this movie is still my top. It's in my top. Like, between World's Strongest Guy and this, it's either 1 or 2. It's 1A, 1B, or World's Strongest #1. This #2, or on some days when I watch Rise of the Dragon, I'm like, okay, Rise of the Dragon #1, World's Strongest Guy #2. This is really good, yo. This movie is really good, and if I don't do it, who will? That's the hardest line I've ever heard in my life.
The most inexplicable move in all of Dragon Ball Z, and it's like, yo, even if you and I were going based on the same standards we've held every movie to, right? Like, okay, yeah, Goku gets a move out of nowhere, but it's the hardest shit ever.
The hardest shit ever. And it like,
this is better than a punch to the stomach.
At least you could cut.
Fucking dragon shows up,
bro. At least you can, with this one, you could use your imagination and say, hey, Goku's been dead for 7 years. Maybe he had this technique. Maybe he was hiding this technique or whatever. Who knows? Like, this is like, people gotta definitely hear that clip.
Yeah,
that was. If you ain't see that, bro, I don't want to say you've been living on the road.
Nah. We're gonna give it to him right here, because it's so fire. Yeah, man, that Dragon Fist, all that, bro.
Listen. And then that pose at the end, I'm like, nice. Nice. That was like Goku smiling and Super Saiyan thing. Like, that shit is.
Yeah.
That was my wallpaper on my computer. That was my wallpaper on my computer, bro.
I had that on my phone.
Bro, that is like the dopest pose. It's really cool.
I had the card of that in Dokkan Battle, all of that, bro. Yes, dog.
You know how many times I've seen that technique? Even in games. Shoot, even Boo's Furry isn't. It's a move in Boo's Furry. It's a move in Tenkaichi 3, and it looks so nice in Tenkaichi 3. Nice. Shoot, they even threw it in DBZ Kakarot, even though
that it doesn't even cover any of the movies.
It's still because it's that move. It's that move, bro. It's a moment. It's like one of the dopest scenes of all the movies. All of them. It's so hard. But
the move itself has impact, you know?
Oh, yeah. A golden Shenron? Is that supposed to allude to something?
Right? It's like, dude, they even brought it back in GT. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. No explanation. They was just like, nah, he can do it. Why wouldn't he?
This move is hard. Like, why couldn't he not? And it's just what sometimes I do like to see techniques that were done inside the movie, you know, and anime a little bit. You throw it in there. If not, you throw it in the filler. There's filler in Dragon Ball Z. You could do some of these stuff that you've done. Like,
by this point, Toei was just fully in their bag. They knew they could do whatever, so they did.
They know this is the last hurrah of DBZ.
Yeah.
And I say DBZ, not Dragon Ball, but rather DBZ. This is the last hurrah. So they're like, yo, we
Because this
having
does,
fun with it. It's like it feels like
yeah.
they had, even though I feel like Fusion Reborn, they had more fun with it, and in terms of like just goofing around.
Yeah.
This one they really decided to put their foot in it and like, yo,
Put the ankles in it, bro. They were like, no, listen.
People are gonna remember this.
It's the last hurrah, man. And they ended it well. They really did.
Timeless.
Only things really, aside from the movie itself, the character's name Hirudegarn, interestingly enough, comes from the movie's co-producer Seiichi Hiruta, who didn't like the original design of Hirudegarn. After he demanded that they redesign the character, his jaw dropped when he saw the new design. Now, the jaw dropping effect in Japan, like the onomatopoeia for it, is gone. So they named the character Hiruta Gan. Like Hiruta was like, oh shit, he didn't know how to react. So
this is
named after his reaction to the character, which is pretty funny. And then lastly, according to the Toei website, now they made sure. Listen, man, this man Takao Koyama was talking crazy about Broly, so we had to dead it. They straight up said on the Toei website that Hirudegarn is an equal power to Super Saiyan 3 Goku. It goes on to mention that Super Janemba is the strongest of all the movie villains because he was able to take on Super Saiyan 3 Goku and beat him back, while Hirudegarn was destroyed by Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So that would make Hirudegarn the second strongest of all the movie villains, while Janemba would be the strongest of all the original 13 movie villains.
Take that, brother man.
Look, that's if Toei themselves, the head honchos, was saying, look, no, what you said about Broly was cap. It's Janemba and Hirudegarn. Well, then we can take no further gospel than that.
You're sick, boy. You sick. You. And now, since we basically damn wrapped up 13, I can say, damn, you stink. Your lies, your Broly lies. No, sir. These characters, these two villains that we covered, immensely better than Broly. Let's keep it real. Like, let's be really real.
Yes.
Better villains, better movies, better everything. You stink.
Better moments, all of that. And now that we've spent the past couple of months going through all 13 Dragon Ball Z movies and the 3 Dragon Ball movies, right?
Sure.
So having watched all the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z movies, I can say with the utmost certainty, this man Takao Koyama is a different cat, bro.
Yo, he is, man. He's a very funny character, bro. He's a very funny guy. I'll give him that. Every time he finds a way to make something or say something that gets on my nerves. If that was his goal to offend a certain fan base, he did it. He knows he did it too. He even admits it, which is crazy.
He really does. There's this theatrical story Q&A where he basically was questioned when the Dragon Box came out for all the movies. There was an entire interview that was done with him back in April the 14th, 2006. Now, of course, this is before he talks on Battle of Gods and gives his feelings on Broly. So it's really interesting to see some of the contradictory things that he says in here, right? But he also says some takes that are pretty alarming. Yeah, pretty. I'm just gonna say, I don't know what this man was thinking. Of course, it's very well known how he came up with the theatrical movies, but it was asked to him, how did you create the original stories for the theatrical movies? And Takao Koyama goes on to answer, when we made the episodes for the theatrical features, the scriptwriter, the producer, and Toriyama Sensei's supervising editor would get together and meet about story concepts, such as what to do about the main villain. then I would put together a plot based on the content of what we talked about. I'd send that plot to Toriyama and get his opinion on it. Then start writing out the scenario. That was the typical flow. Once I got to writing, I'd be joined up at the hip at the producer. With regard to the contents, there was a restriction that the movie not progress into story settings further ahead than the TV anime at the time of its premiere. For example, even if I decided to do fusion, I wouldn't be allowed to do it ahead of the TV anime or the original manga. So I'd always be conscious of its state progress on TV. And if we were doing the Frieza arc in the TV anime at the time of premiere, a story would be born with the sense of, let's bring out Frieza's older brother. Except at times such as when the state of production on the TV anime caught up to the original work. It would be extremely tough with nothing to use as hints, and I received ideas directly from Toriyama Sensei. It would take about 3 months' time from the planning stage until the completion of a single movie scenario. Dragon Ball Z had 2 movies shown each year in spring and summer, so that works out to me having been writing a theatrical movie scenario for over half a given year at a time. To me, it definitely sounds like Toriyama would be like, listen, man, this is what I've got going on in the series. Don't go no further than that. And then this man would basically just say like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to make up something that's similar.
And similar, it's like, bleh. It's bleh.
At best sometimes.
At best, like, he's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. I had almost forgot to bring up the fact. What's up with Vegeta's characterization in these Koyama films? Like,
dog, Koyama himself has something to say about that, and I'm gonna uncover basically a theory I've always had. Mm-hmm. Right, is that I feel like a lot of fans or non-fans, just fans of Dragon Ball who are aware of Vegeta in the West, they have this idea that Vegeta's weaker than Goku or like can't get shit done compared to Goku because of his portrayal in the movies. Yeah. And I always thought Takao Koyama as a scriptwriter's got to have it out for Vegeta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was asked in this interview, Vegeta got weaker in the movies? And Takao Koyama's answer was, in the last of the theatrical works, I purposefully brought low Vegeta status as the prideful prince of the Saiyans. Because of that, he became a pitiful Vegeta. I guess I might have done something bad to Vegeta fans. He goes on to then laugh. But this is because it was a major premise to the table that Goku has to win in the end, so perhaps it couldn't be helped that he would inevitably be contrasted with Goku. But I believe that to the same extent, I was really able to depict an image of the everyday Vegeta. The scene where Vegeta, who once went around causing destruction, tells off his foe with, "How dare you destroy someone's house?" and shows an unexpected sides of him. He then continues to laugh. If that's what Takao Koyama's mission was, bro, that's not how any of us ever saw it.
That's what?
I mean, let me go back because from the moment Vegeta's first introduced in the Dragon Ball Z movies, movie 6, right?
Smoked.
He gets smoked the moment he's shown on screen. Movie 7, he doesn't go Super Saiyan immediately. He gets smoked until he does go Super Saiyan and still gets beat down. Movie 8, he starts crying because the legendary Super Saiyan exists, gets beat down. Movie 9 shows up for a little bit. The moment Bojack shows up on screen, gets beat down. Was beat down so badly that he didn't even show up in 10 or 11. Then movie 12 shows up. He sees Goku in Super Saiyan 3 get beat by Janemba, rushes in Super Saiyan 2, gets beat down. And then in this last movie, movie 13, he's like, hey, man, why the hell did you stomp on my house? Which, if you remember the old fan subs, I mean, he was cussing that man
he
out.
Was cussing
right?
that
He
boy.
said, why are you destroying my fucking house and all this shit, right? Got beat down saving some office workers. I mean, bro, Vegeta never got no shine in none of the 13 movies, bro.
He looked very bad. He looked very bad, bro. Very bad. And very, very like especially in movie 12, him crying and all that stuff, and like what were you doing? What was he doing? Like, yo, watching Fusion Reborn, it hurt me. And I'm not a Vegeta fan. You can ask anyway. I really don't care. I like what he contributes to the story, but what? I looked at it like, bro, what are you doing with this guy? I even had to text Brother Jay. I'm like, yo, Jay, what is he do? What is this guy doing? Why is Vegeta like this? This is not what I'm used to.
That's
at all.
I mean, bro, it's not the Vegeta that I'm
He was
a fan
acting
of.
like a tsundere. Like what?
Completely,
a bigger tsundere than he. Like, very like, I'll never do this. I rather like no. And he thought it was probably because of. I'm not gonna say because it's comedic relief, because no, the portrayals of Vegeta throughout all your movies, he's he's no different than Krillin or how anybody else gets smoked that ain't who is supposed to deal with the final villain. Like, they get embarrassed. Vegeta gets embarrassed, bro. Super embarrassed. It's bad. At least in the anime, like, people will be like, oh, well, Vegeta gets shitted on in the original series. No, you don't, bro. If anything, it just showcased that the villain, at least, is a big threat. Because if Vegeta can't beat him, man, that means it's something. It's a really big threat. And at least Vegeta puts up fights, man. At least he showcases that he can do something. In the movie, if you've never watched Dragon Ball, the anime, the original series, and you just said, hey, for whatever purpose, you just wanted to watch straight movies, and you see Vegeta introduced, you could probably think like, this dude's about to come in and get his ass whooped, because that's all he's known for. You know, like how Piccolo, when he's in the movies, his role is particularly to save Gohan from getting blown up. This Vegeta's role is basically to make a big entrance and then get his ass whooped. That is it. And it's so bad. It is so bad. And then your reaction is like, I did something bad to Vegeta fans. You don't say. You don't say. And your cop out was because, well, Goku has to beat the dude. He has to beat this guy because
it has to be Goku that does it. It's so dumb.
What? Vegeta can, like, no, bro. Like, what was your reasoning for Vegeta looking like a whole whore against Broly? I had to purposely to lower the status. No, you didn't just lower it. You just took it away. That was not a prideful saying. That was nothing. He was acting worse than how Krillin's depicted.
Piccolo had to pick this man upside the head to be like, hey, watch the fight, dog. It's humiliating.
That shit was nasty, bro. That shit was nasty. And I screenshotted that multiple times when I rewatched the movie. It was embarrassing. And I screenshotted when Vegeta was crying and stuff and shedding tears. And I'm like, bro, Vegeta's dead because he just did one of the coolest things in the series. He sacrificed his whole life thinking that he was going to save the planet from getting destroyed by this big old freak. So why is he crying? This is supposed to be the building to Vegeta's redemption. What are we doing here where he's looking very stupid? He looks dumb. He looks
like a complete dumbass, bro. Every time he would show up on screen in a movie, it was going to lead you to a fucking disappointment.
Just embarrassing, bro. Just embarrassing. It's just very embarrassing. He's just Koyama. You're like, I can't say you're completely garbage because you made two things that I really like. So
Toriyama should at least stepped in on these fucking movies, bro.
This is a Toriyama issue. Toriyama, as long as it look cool, it don't matter to him. It don't, and that's a big issue. If you're going to, if you are critique, if you are someone who wants to critically make an analysis of these movies, you look at the flaws and it's like, okay, where's the creator of this series? He's letting this rock, like. Compare the original source material and then look at what these movies are doing sometimes. Doesn't he see that some of these characters that he created are being like they're getting embarrassed. They look very out of place. It's nasty. He's nasty. I no, I don't. No, Koyama stink. He stink.
The fact that Takao Koyama is not touched, it's not a modern movie.
He's
I'm
washed.
happy for it.
He's washed. He's washed, and he wanted to be salty like, oh well, my Broly's destroyed, and oh you must be a joy to work around with. I'm pretty sure. Like no, ain't nobody coming for you to write anything. You ain't touched Dragon Ball since, and Dragon Ball been ongoing for years upon years now. So what does that say about you, brother, man?
And yeah, that is to say, man. I mean, honestly, while this era that we've come to a close with here, with these original Dragon Ball Z, these original 13 Dragon Ball Z movies, does end here in 1995. That resurgence that then comes in 2013 is huge, with the arrival of Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, and followed up 2 years later with Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. And we are going to be really glad to cover those for y'all next week.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because we're about to go into a whole new era of Dragon Ball Z movies, a whole new era of Dragon Ball Z content, which will, lead to us eventually seeing the Dragon Ball superhero film as we end up the season this year.
That's her.
Now I know the tickets did just go on sale on Friday for the theatrical release of Dragon Ball Superhero. I know that there's going to be both subbed and dubbed showings in some areas. Have you happened to copy any tickets for it yourself?
I have not yet. I could. I got myself a plug. I got myself a plug, so I won't even have to do much. So I'm going to be watching both, and I hate. I despise the dub. Even though it's not bad, the modern dub of Dragon Ball, I despise it, even though it's not bad. It's just a personal preference. But for this lovely podcast, I am going to be listening to both. I'm going to watch and listen to both. So it's going to be very fun.
Same here, my dog. As a matter of fact, I was up pretty early Friday morning to make sure I could cut those tickets, and I was able to snag me a ticket to the showing, to both the sub and the dub showing. One on that Thursday and the next on that Friday. So I'll be ready to talk about those movies right after they've come out, man. So really, really excited that we've got those in about a little less than a month's time now, away from the next Dragon Ball movie coming up.
Yes, sir.
But between now and then, we will be going over that Dragon Ball Renaissance and a little bit of something special in between now and then too. But be sure to join us next week as we dive into Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. D, any last words on all these 13 movies before we dip on out?
Okay, so I've compiled a list. Since everybody knows, I do not like DBZ Broly. I despise that man. I have a list of all the villains I would prefer over DBZ Broly. So the following starts. Emperor Pilaf, I would take over DBZ Broly.
Okay.
The Ninja Murasaki that was hired by Reddit, I would take him over DBZ Broly. The robot that Goku beat in Muscle Tower, I would definitely pick over him. Tao Pai Pai, easily I would take over DBZ.
Okay.
Piccolo Daimo's henchman, I would take that. Piccolo Daimo, obviously, I would take over DBZ Broly. Those 3 goons that Garlic Jr. had, I would take over DBZ Broly. Garlic Jr., obviously. Dr. Wheelo, obviously. Turtles, a.k.a. not Goku. I did not fall and break my head or just drop my head. I would take Tullus over DBZ Broly. I would not take Lord Slug over DBZ Broly.
Hell no.
He is a different breed of ass. He's in the same category as DBZ Broly, as 2 garbage characters. So far, I also added Cooler. Obviously, Cooler. Do I even have to say why? I'd obviously take Cooler over DBZ, bro.
Yeah.
I am taking Spopovich
Oh fuck.
over DBZ Broly because at least, he also did something for the plot, as opposed to DBZ Broly, who destroyed said plot. Who else would I take? Because I could freelance this now. I would take shit. I'd take Android 19 and 20 over.
Oh damn.
Yeah, they were cool. They were really cool. Obviously, I'd take every Android. I'd take the Hillbilly one too over Mr. DBZ Broly. Do I have to say Bobbity as a whole is more interesting than DBZ Broly? That's like, do I have like I don't even have to say anything. Like anybody in the original series, the Ginyu Force, you can make a whole OVA of the Ginyu Force, and I'd watch that 100 times.
True.
I'd take them easily. Shoot. What was that idiot from that Vegeta destroyed with the dirty fireworks? Kui? Yeah, I'd take Kui because Kui was cool. Kui could speak. Zarbon and friends, super dope. Hey, they're doper than these guys. Zarbon was super cool. I don't want to go too far. I don't want to be too far fetched. But when I'm saying all of these, I'm really serious. I think that DBZ Broly, besides Lord Slug, and because Lord Slug, he's just a shittier version of King Piccolo. Broly has no inspiration. So I'm cutting Lord. Let me cut Lord Slug a slack. Let me cut him some slack because he's just a victim of circumstance. DBZ Broly is his own entity of ass that Koyama thinks that is the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's garbage, bro. It's so many villains that you could take, even the side ones. Like, no, he's the biggest sin out of all of this. Out of all of it, biggest sin. He's the worst. He's the worst. I don't care what you said. If you liked the movies, if you liked him running like he was a running back or a defensive tackle, no, I didn't care for him. He was garbage. I watched the movies. I've watched all 13. He's the weakest one. The Lord Slug movie is garbage, and it's the weakest movie. Broly is the weakest villain. Easy.
And there you have it, man. There you have it, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Official. These lists of villains we would take over DBZ Broly, and the list could go on. Honestly, I'll take any character in Super Dragon Ball Heroes over DBZ
Man,
Broly.
do I even have to, like, I was just trying to be very, like, we taking obviously all of them. We taking all of them, bro. All of them. Every time. He's just bad. Koyama is also one of the worst writers to ever grace Dragon Ball ever. And y'all know
don't ever come back for another movie, Takao Koyama, please.
And y'all know I hate. If you know me, you know I don't like Toyotaro. But Toyotaro way better than this guy. He's so better. Even though they probably went to the same school of how to ruin Dragon Ball, I take Toyotaro in a heartbeat because he make interesting, cool shit. He may make some out-of-pocket shit that has you saying, what? But I'd still take him over this guy. He know how to make something. At least Toyotaro know how to pique your interest. At least he knows how to make you give it a look. If I didn't have to review or talk about Broly, the DBZ version, I wouldn't even, bro, he doesn't even exist to me. He really don't. But that's all I have to say in regards to that. Oh, well, y'all have a great week. And I hope y'all been enjoying y'all summer. Staying hydrated and shit. Y'all better.
Y'all know we have out here, man. You know what I'm saying? We going so many weeks straight of this. We've been enjoying it every time. So glad to have gotten through the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z parts of this. And we can't wait to come back with y'all next week with that return to the Dragon Ball greatness that we had started in 2013. But until then, Remember, the subs lie, the dubs lie. Your boys Jay and D don't.
We don't. Koyama definitely lies.
All the time. He lied to y'all for 7 years in a row.
Straight. The worst.
But until then, man, we out. Peace.
I like it was.
$53万